Hi, I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm Claire, and we are back with the second part of our Negroni Week episode special. So we are going to now, that was our control sample Negroni. We're now going to present our own take on a Negroni based on
Yeah,
sort of interesting products that we've found and things that we're keen on at the moment. So do you want to go first or shall I?
yeah, I'll talk. Um, I'll bore everybody with my story about how I got mugged and it was still the best day of my life.
I love that story. Tell it.
So I was in Melbourne, I was watching the cricket and I was like, I had a day spare. And of course, I was going to go to the Four Pillars Distillery. And the story simply goes, I felt like I turned up at the mecca of gin. It's one of my favorite gins in the world. And there I was, the other side of the world, in the middle of the Yarra Valley, a good hour and a half out of Melbourne. I got mugged on the way home, had my wallet nicked, passport nicked, and I still look on it as one of the best days of my life in spite of all of that because the gin is that good. So Four Pillars do a special Negroni edition, which basically has the characteristics of the Four Pillars gin, all of the same, largely indigenous botanicals to Australia, and but it turns up the citral and slightly bitter elements a little bit, which lends itself to use in a Negroni. So Four Pillars, heart, big heart. And I'm going to double that up with the already used in our previous video, but I'll talk you through it again. One of the few British companies that are making their own vermouth in-house, Sacred Spirits in Highgate in North London. Brilliant people, passionate, and they make millions of products. They're doing their own pre-mixed spirits, they're doing gimlets, they're doing their own Negroni, all sorts of stuff. But this English spiced vermouth has loads of fruity, dark, baking spice element, really packs a punch, and enough sweetness in there to make it not sort of acerbically bitter for a Negroni, to make it so it's an easy drinker, which with something with the sort of lightness and toppy punch as a Four Pillars, I think this depth should balance it out really nicely.
Yeah.
What have you got?
So what I've got, so this isn't the first time that I've hijinksed about this. I did a picture post on this a while ago, but I have got, so hang on, before I talk about this, I'm going to say that it is only a recent thing that I like Negronis. For a long time, I sort of assumed
hate them.
I think the thing with Negronis is that often the first sip, you get a lot of the bitterness, and it's only after you've been drinking it for a while that you sort of get to speak to a lot of the other flavors. And what I noticed was that when I actually challenged myself to sit down and drink an entire Negroni earlier in the year, I noticed that the more I drank it, the more I liked it. And it becomes kind of moreish and sort of more addictive and self-perpetuating as you drink it, because that bitterness that it first puts you off becomes something that you're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, but I want a little bit more.
It's the alcoholic version of Stilton.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Stilton, when you're younger, you think is pretty grim, because then you look at it and it's got mold on and it's got quite a bitter taste to it. And the more you eat a Stilton, the more you go, actually, this is completely delicious.
Exactly.
But you sort of assume you're not going to like something with mold on and there's a weird colour and an odd rind, and but it just shows you've just got to try stuff and sometimes persevere and not sit there and say, I don't like this, because the minute you assume you don't like something, it's like saying I don't like Chardonnay. Well, there's a million different types of Chardonnay, all with such completely different characteristics. Or saying I don't like gin. Imagine saying you don't like gin. Well, that means you don't like fennel or lavender or juniper, fair enough, or any herbs or any citruses. Or do you know what I mean? Like, so what do you like? Do you know what I mean? It's just a case of trying things, finding a gin that you like, maybe something that's lighter on the juniper aspect. A lot of people who don't like gin don't like tonic. And so maybe they'll follow this video through and find their way into gin through the fact that they don't have to have tonic water with it.
Yeah, exactly. You can go neat, you can go martini, Negroni. You can do what I've been doing and take your barrel-aged gins and make Manhattans and things like that. The list of
you can do what Claire's been doing and just drink every single day in New Zealand.
So speaking of drinking every single day in New Zealand, so one of the things that can really get you into Negronis is going for something that's sort of slightly more on the sort of citrusy side of things, because it marries into the sweetness of the Negroni, and sort of plays against the bitterness a little bit. Now, a gin that I discovered on this lovely COVID trip home is Roots Gin from Elemental Distillers in Marlborough. Now, this gin is beautiful. I made a video with it a while ago with my friends Cam and Grace at a beautiful spot down in a nature reserve down the road. It's got grapefruit, hops,
nice.
Cauliflower.
Or hops, so it's got that depth. It's got that real,
Exactly. So it's got kind of like a caramelly nuttiness from the hops, a bit of sweetness from the grapefruit, then that sort of floral sweetness of the gorse flower, and then the sort of lemony pepperiness of the kawa. So it's a really, really gorgeous sort of nutty, slightly savory, but also it's like what we described it as a self-perpetuating gin, because it's like as you drank it, it hits so many flavor palettes. It like flavor palettes. How do I describe it? It hits so many parts of the palate with the flavor that it made it was really, really satisfying. It's like, you know, when you have something sweet and then you want something savory and then you want something sweet, it kind of did that all of its own. So I've already talked about this vermouth, so I'm not going to do the spiel again, but this pairs beautifully with Read and Read vermouth, because again, this hits a lot of different corners of the palate itself. It's got all of the gin botanicals in there. It's got a lot of native botanicals in there. So some of the botanicals like kawa match up with this. It's got a lot of spice. It's got some savory elements. Wild grapes, so it's very dry, but it's got that little bit of inherent sweetness to it. So that's gorgeous. Also, I've got Read and Read a little bit left. Oh my gosh, I need to buy some more. Read and Read from Martinborough. They also make their own bitter aperitivo. So this is like an equivalent of Campari. So this one, it's I can't tell you exactly what's in it, but it says it's got 14 different fruits, seeds, leaves, and roots. So again, this is something that just brings sweetness and a lot of bitterness to the drink. So these three products, tried and tested, are so beautiful together. So let's mix one up and then talk about it further. So I wonder if anyone, maybe if somebody's watching this, they can tell us. I wonder if anyone in the UK is making aperitivo as well.
That's also a thing rather than the standard brands, exactly.
Yeah, just because it's fun to see. Like Campari is absolutely delicious, but it's always fun to have a range of things. Because, like, for example, I've got two totally different vermouths in the house that I love both of them, but they are so different. So it's like, what different things could different aperitivi bring to the table? This is so beautiful because you get, as I said, that slight carameliness from the hops. I'm thinking of other gins that we've tried that have been made with hops. Like, was it the Bearable-fish gin?
And also there was a hops gin that we found at what show was it at Earl's Court?
Spirit of Christmas. I think that's the one I'm talking about. I think is it like Bearable-fish Brewing, and they make hopped gin, and it's got that lovely, it's got like a caramelly nuttiness and also a bitterness that come from the hops.
Let me find it.
But with a lot more citrus than that hops gin. So this has got like all of that, but a really, like, what I love about
do you want me to climb up to the top of my cabinet and find the gin we're talking about, because I know where it is.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to do it.
Say what I love about Roots Gin is God, it's such a gorgeous product. It holds its own really, really well with tonic, and I find some gins, there are some gins that I absolutely love. When you put them with tonic, you lose them, or you have to use a tiny amount of tonic. Roots really holds its flavor against tonic because it's got so many sort of big, punchy, bold flavors going on. And what I have found, this is very rare for me, it's a gin that when I serve it with tonic, I do not garnish it, because it is complete as it is, and I don't feel like adding a garnish to it adds anything. It's just got so much going on, and I really respect that about it. So it's got this big, bold, punchy flavor to it, which So once you put it in the Negroni, I can really, really get that. And it's so gorgeous because what's great about a Negroni, I think, there we go, is that balance between that sort of almost medicinal, almost, I used to describe it as like mouthwash bitterness, but there's a little bit of that bitterness to it, but then also this lovely sort of almost burnt caramelized sweetness that goes down to the back of the tongue and the back of the palate. And Roots Gin just plays so beautifully into that. So now tell us about your one.
Okay, well, what have I done with it? It's here. Let's have a go.
Don't lose your Negroni.
What we get from the Four Pillars is the kind of uplift in the sort of zingy freshness of it. It's got that sort of toppy sort of feel to it, but it's balanced out very well with the depth of the fruit. And if you think about the kind of orange citrus balanced with dark fruits and baking spices, it's a sort of perfect marriage. It doesn't have quite a lot of the bitterness that some people wouldn't like in a Negroni. It's got that depth and toppiness, and so it's probably quite a good kind of gateway drug of a Negroni. Actually, it's quite a good starter, and you can see that with this sort of lightness of colour that we have in it. Yeah. So I've just done equal parts of my wonderful Four Pillars Negroni edition, my equally wonderful Sacred English Vermouth, and and my little Aperitivo here.
Tiny little Campari.
Yeah. So that's it, really. Very, very simple stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
It's all about finding the balances. I'm going to put a dash of Tucker in here just to see what that does, because I think with citral elements that would work very well.
There was one more thing I was going to say, was that I actually tried a Negroni recently made with Four Pillars Spiced Negroni Gin, but obviously it would have been made, I can't tell you what the vermouth was. I will assume it was that they used Campari and probably a more standard vermouth, but it was at the New York Grill in Auckland.
Oh, nice.
And again, I felt like that.
So I've just got a little wedge of chilli. That's nice.
Yeah, I saw that they had the Four Pillars Spiced Negroni Gin, and I thought you have to try that in a Negroni. And yes, it was stunning. But I bet it's even more stunning because the vermouth, I feel like the thing about vermouth is that artisanal distillers are starting to produce them. But in general, bars don't necessarily have as interesting of a range of vermouths already. So
why would they? They're going to have one vermouth or two vermouths. Yeah. It's all about bar space and how what sells and what doesn't. Yeah, of course it does. But when we're at home, we can experiment with more fun things.
Exactly. And I think one of the reasons that New Zealand has got some good vermouth game going on is because of our wine industry, because it's made with wine grapes. And so I am surprised that New Zealand isn't making more vermouth. And here is my challenge. If any vintners out there are watching this, make some vermouth because I will buy it. I'm literally on the hunt at the moment. If I hear of anyone making vermouth or aperitivo or bitters or any cocktail ingredients, I want to know about it. Tell me about it.
The premium stuff and interesting things.
Yeah, because everybody brings their local grape, and of course grapes grown in. I mean, what I have learned from the wine industry is, say, Pinot Noir grapes, for example. The Pinot Noirs from different parts of the country taste so different. So, say your vineyard is in X part of the country, and then you bring in local botanicals as well. You're going to end up with such a range of products. And then start matching vermouths to gins to make cocktails and that sort of thing. And I find that really interesting. So please, if anybody out there knows of any vermouths I need to know about and buy, or Ben needs to know about and buy, please
just shout at us. Please just shout at us. I mean, the first one that I've seen is from Sacred, and they're such lovely people. But I feel like hopefully it's opening the trapdoor to loads more people having the same brilliant idea. Maybe. It feels like, New Zealand, obviously, with its massive wine tradition, it sort of makes sense. But why can't that happen in the UK? We've got a very up and coming wine trade. Why can't that be something that we look into doing a bit more of.
Yeah, I look forward to it happening and hearing about it.
Cheers. All right, I'm going to